electronically, we are absolutely putty in the hands of the controllers. We can do nothing. They can turn a switch. Now, I'm not talking about HAARP, although I don't want to underestimate HAARP and dismiss it.
What about TV?
Let's go. That's where I'm going. Let's come back home to the micro. All right, HAARP is a macro. The micro is TV. It's big screen. It's DVD. It's iPad. It's iPhone. It's iPod. It's any of those things that take you electronically into another world. And believe me, when you're involved with these electronic media, you are in another world, unless you're extremely sharp and able to hold this stuff off. It just takes a few seconds watching TV, and why do you think they mandated HD TV? Because of the technology they're using in that. It takes only a few seconds, and you are in an essential hypnotic trance. And when you're in that trance, your consciousness, your moral consciousness is no longer in the game. It's out. It's on the side. The stuff that you're watching pours into your subconscious. And that's it.
Reality testing is completely suspended. Like, people pretend they're projecting themselves into the show pretending it's real. So they're spending maybe 16 hours a night pretending illusions are real. And then, of course, that translates into politics because all politics now is illusion. Delivered lies delivered through the controlled mass media, and they pretend that's real illusion.
Yeah.
So you got it, Jeff. What you just talked about is extremely important.
Now, these people who do this year in and year out, are really not the people they might have been. They are the creation of this consciousness at the top that's running the show, this Luciferian satanic consciousness. They'll never know it. Now, that's also, not to skip the point that remember, there are averages. The average intelligence quotient of people is not very high, and it's getting lower. There are any number of scientific and hardcore studies which show that watching TV, eating certain types of foods, junk food, trash food, destroys your IQ. It takes it down. That's part of the game, too. So we are being reduced constantly and deconstructed in terms of our intellectual potential by this media culture. And then let's stir in the toxic food. Let's stir in the tens of thousands of chemicals every day that we come in contact with. And then let's take a look at the electronic grid, our electric grid, whichever one's the grid. Got to get off the grid. You're not going to get off the grid. Very few people do. But the grid, in my view, Preston, is one of the main delivery channels, platforms for mind control, mass mind control. It goes into the grid. It goes in through every wire in every home, every office, every electronic device, your electric blanket. For God's sakes, if you got one of those, get rid of it. Everything you do electronically can be emanating these factors of control, manipulation, retooling, reconfiguring of your mind, your consciousness. People, Preston, don't have a chance. It's not even a game anymore. I mean, it's a done deal. It's a massive machine that is turning out idiots on many levels.
That's right. And yet, in spite of all that, the interesting thing is there's still the human spirit that overrides all that at some point, and there are rules of play. There's rules to the game, and there is a third force manipulating, but this third force, I believe, is setting up a conflict between everybody.
Let's get into that next. Yes, there are rules. Fascinating. And I can't tell you how many people have asked me over the years. We started our 20th year this June. How are you?
Congratulations.
Thank you. How are you still alive? Why are you still alive? You must be one of them. You must be working for them, or you'd have been dead long ago. You must be CIA, NSA. You must be DOD.
No, they don't understand the rules of play. They consider you an Olympic champion. That's all.
They being the satanic.
Nowadays, you love people like you that are risen to the top, communicators. They love to hear this stuff.
Now, all right, stand by, gang. We'll be right back for conversation part 2. James, whose material appears on Rense.com and Veterans Today and elsewhere. Okay, Preston, go ahead.
Well, I just think it's interesting because there are rules of play, and you can like read Charles Seville's article on the Pilgrim Society, but people that really study this, what is the source of the bondage the United States is being moved into? What it was we the people. Wow, what happened? And you trace it back. It goes back to the British and perfidious Albion. Perfidy. The word perfidy means that extreme treachery. And what they do is they take over a country and then they cut and divide. They create political dissent within the country and keep everybody fighting. So now we have so now we have a situation where you have this satanic cult really running these people. You have the leaders of the world which really run this satanic cult. Now you've probably heard about the Marc Dutroux affair in Belgium, which was linked to Jimmy Savile, IPC, and he was alleged to be providing children for all kinds of purposes, which I won't go into, but you can imagine it started with pedophilia and gets worse from there. And then, of course, the Sandusky affair at Penn State, where there were rumors that they were getting huge donations for providing children, companions to very, very rich people. And then, of course...
And they turned it around. They have, of course, not only given them money to these people, but they own them because they get blackmailed.
Exactly. And, of course, then there's always the issue of honey traps, films, and all the old blackmail machine. And, of course, now... what you have the the history of the Franklin cover-up, in which there were rumors at the time that people were saying, well, why was Bush so successful in getting people in Congress to do all these things that they normally wouldn't do? Well, the answer might have been Franklin cover-up, might have been various honey trap operations. So the real question is, if they want to split the society over these recent staged mass shootings, which probably, if they are real, probably done by foreign covert operators brought in, mindless, soulless people, automatons that
have to be. You don't kill children unless that's what you are, mindless.
So if they are doing this, the question is, what is their overall purpose? And the more I check into this, the more I see there's always this thing of ritual where they do things by number, by selection, like Sandy Hook. I guess if you look at the old English words, Sandy meant secure, and hook means to take away. So it's like to take away our security, get rid of the guns, and there's so many strange symbolic things of the people involved, and we don't know how many kids were killed, if any. Maybe there were none, maybe there were a lot of kids. We don't know, but if there were kids killed there, it was probably done by foreign operators brought in and then moved out a team, and the purpose would be to upset people. What's the most precious resource of the country? The children. So you can imagine how effective this is in generating discord. Now, I go around talking to people in the shopping center and stuff, just try to ask them about this to see. And what I find out is that people are very divided. You have people that are clear-cut gun rights people that don't want the state having any more power, and then you have other people that clearly believe that the reason this happened was because the state does not have enough power. So it's the perfect storm coming. The question is are they going to engineer a civil war that will be a virtual civil war, will be done in the media, fake with staged rebellion and various things to satisfy the crowds, or will it be an actual civil war that will go live in real time and spread and get out of control?
Good question.
See, and you know that a lot of the wars we have are actually virtual. They never go full scale because they manipulate situations, keep them perpetual wars, killing civilians.
Well, it wasn't very long ago, Preston, that some major footage showing some fighting, I've forgotten which country in the Middle East it was located, was actually footage that had been used 5 or 6 years, 7 years ago. And this
right. They substituted. Yeah. The thing is, now I've been told by individuals that have been involved at a very high level in some of this, and what they've said is that much of the wars that are fought today have nothing to do with power. It's all about money. It's called disaster economics. Right. Naomi Klein, I think, wrote a book about some of the shock economics. But what they're really doing is manipulating, international investment.
Well, that's what it is. Not the Malayan War, uranium, all kinds of natural resources there. They're going back to recolonize Africa because they've just let it sit there. There's so much wealth on that continent. It's not fun.
That's right. And so, yes, real people are being killed, but so everything is filtered through, the controlled fixed media that we really don't know what's going on. So the question is are they engineering a civil war in the United States between the gun rights people and the gun grabbers? It's the perfect storm. Will it go live? That's the real question. I don't know. It could. I think it could. Never have I ever seen people this angry over the government interfering in their lives as they have over the gun situation. I'm seeing people now in gun stores, 65-year-old women buying pump shotguns, never owned a gun before in their life. And when I ask them, what are you doing here? They say, well, I'm afraid of country falling apart. Some of them say they're afraid of the government. Most of them are just afraid.
You got it.
So when you stimulate this kind of fear, then of course people are much easier to manipulate politically. Where do you think it's going to?
I think it's probably going to go into a real 3D